All right, going to do a video on platinum today, how it was traded, go over the moves, when I moved my stops, when I took partials, closed profit, left the runners on, how long did I run, what did I do. So basically coming into the chart, again, we have a few things that we're looking at. First of all, we're looking at trend direction. So we need to, typically we'd go out and look at a 4-hour time frame, dial down to a 60-minute time frame, dial down to a 15-minute time frame, see what's happening on those charts. Are they all bullish on those charts, or are they all bearish on those charts? If they're all in sync, that's better for us. That'll play out better on the day. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking to see what is happening on the higher time frames. So that requires us to go out to a 4-hour, 1 hour, and 15 minutes to dial down before we sit on a 5-minute, 3-minute, or 1-minute ticker trades. So we don't have to do that anymore. So basically this power trade indicator, basically that's what these 3 bars do on the bottom. The upper one is the 15-minute, the middle one is the 1 hour, and the lower one is the 4 hour. That's telling us what is happening on those higher time frames. So we don't have to even go out and look every morning before we start to trade, because that's what we typically do. Now, on Sunday night, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, definitely go out to your 4-hour chart and draw your 4-hour zones, support resistance levels, and trend lines. Always, always do that over the weekend. You'll get fresh zones on your charts like this. So you want to do that every weekend. Usually you want to check a couple times a week and identify any new areas that you might need to mark. So that overall should be done every week. Then when we dial down to come in, we sit down to trade, we just look at the indicator. So when I came to the chart, and if you look at the time here I took the trade, it was 9 o'clock. So it was actually before news. There was news out at 9:45 for the U.S. stock market. I didn't know how that would play out in platinum. So what I was looking at is look at the indicator. It was 4-hour was red. The 1 hour was red, went back to green on this pullback, signaled back a sell signal here. So it went back to red, okay, before I even came to the computer. Dropped down a couple candles. I thought, is it just going to turn here at this, pull back and then give a bounce? Can I get in at a better entry? Instead, it kept moving short. It kind of hung out here. This is the low. Okay, that's that previous low right there. Kind of hung out a few candles and broke it. So when I broke it, I thought, okay, is this momentum going to keep up? I don't know. And notice I'm on a 3-minute on platinum. Platinum, I rarely go down to a 1-minute time frame. The rest of them I will, especially during news and before news and after news for, like 15, 20 minutes, and you could go back to a 3-minute. Platinum I rarely do, just because the candles are spread apart and it looks kind of splotchy on the charts. It just doesn't look good. So I think with platinum, it's really, really readable on a 3-minute. As far as its moves, I've traded it on a 1, but I don't always jump down. So overall, what I was looking at was, again, all 3 time frames are red. So we're marking all those red. We're ticking those boxes. Everything's red. 15 minutes red, 1 hour's red, 4 hours red. What should we be doing? I'm going to try and sell. I want to look for sell opportunities. I want to look for opportunities to short. If the higher time frames are red, if the higher time frames are bearish, why would I want to buy against the higher time frames? I don't. I don't want to buy against the higher time frames. I want to sell with the higher time frames. Okay, I want to ride that momentum. I want to ride that movement, that trend direction that they're in on the higher time frame. So we mark sell. That gives us 50% reason to take trade. Just because we're going to trade in trend direction, that's not enough. 50%, you might as well wake up, come to the chart. I might as well came in and flipped a coin. Heads, I'd go long. Tails, I'd go short. I would hope it would be tails so I could go short, because if it was heads and I go long, I would have been in a losing trade. Okay, so we just don't take 50% trades. 60%, I don't like taking those either. So the trade parameters, 100% setup is an A plus setup or an A. 90% is a B, 80% is a C, 70% is a D, and 60 D minus or F, and 50 F. So why would we want to take a trade setup that is a failing grade. Meets a failing grade. We're not gonna. Once it gets to 70, it's okay to enter lightly. So if you don't have all these confirmations for your trade setup, your trade entry, you don't go all in. You can go all in, and when I say all in, it's all in for your account size, your risk management. It may be 10 contracts, it may be 6. It may be 4. Your all in may be 4 micros. Okay, well, in platinum, you can't micro, but it's up to you as to what that is. So when I say all in, it's not all in everything the account's got that you're going to blow your account. It is based on what you've set up on your criteria, your risk management, your risk tolerance, your account size, how many trades you want to take per day, how much money you want to risk per day or per trade. That all, you have to decide that. And if you need help with that, I can definitely help you with it. But that is something that you have to work on to decide. Nobody can give you my answer is not the same. Last week I was trading in an account and my goal was $5,000 a day. Before that, it was a different account. The 2 weeks before that, where the goal was 500 per day. There's a big difference on contract size between those two accounts. Okay, still risking the same amount per contract size. Okay, so the stop would still be here, no matter what size it is and what account. So basically, if you're going to take a 70, 80% trade, you're trading with less contracts. What I like to tell people is if you would put on 10 contracts on 100% setup, on 90, maybe go 8, 80, go 6, 70, go 4 contracts. And of course, we're not trading these other two. So if you get a 70% setup, you're going in light. You're going in 4 contracts. And then once it starts to build other confirmation signals, then you can stack in. Okay, so basically on this one, it had, before it got over here, what it did over here, okay, everything had been red, right? Everything's red over here, went green for a little bit, went back to red. So everything's been red. We had a pullback. Okay, we had a sell signal here, dropped a little, and then pulled back. So as I'm looking at it, when I come to the chart, I'm like, okay, it's in a retracement mode, or it retraced. And it doesn't matter. If you come to the chart and you see it's here, signal, or here, you're still looking at all this. You're not just looking at these 3 candles or 2 candles. You're not just looking at the current candle. You have to look at what the moves are. That tells you everything. So we had a retracement. Okay, well, look down at the sheet. We're trading with the trend. We're looking to sell only. Retracement or pullback. Did it have one? Yes, it did right here. It pulled back. That's our retracement or pullback. We're in downward move with the higher time frames. Okay, downward move. We have a pullback, so that gives us 10% more reason to take trade. We're at 60%. Did it break the retracement line or a high low? If you're using high lows, which we use, sometimes you won't have a pullback line. It'll just, one candle back and then come and push through. So that's why this says breaks retracement line or a high low line. Yes, it did. This candle right here broke through that retracement line and closed on the other side. So that gives us 10% more reason to take the trade. Okay. Did it pull back? Notice I don't have that one checked. Did it pull back to test that retracement line that it just broke? No, it did not. It didn't pull back at all. Okay, next one. Did it bounce off the retracement line? Again, the one it just broke. So after it breaks the retracement line, we like to see it pull back to test it and bounce off of it. And then a red signal candle, which would be next. We didn't get any of that. So we didn't get the pullback to test it. We didn't get the bounce off of it, neither. Well, then we got the sell signal. We got sell candle and sell signal. So this is right here. This is a sell candle / power trade indicator signal, which is the sell. So what the signal candle would be is if it pulled back up to test that, turned and had a red candle. A red candle would be your signal candle because we're only looking to short, and we like to short on red candles. We didn't get those two. Instead, we did get the power trade sell signal. Okay, so that alone is not a reason to take the trade, but the fact that it had a retracement, broke the retracement, that's a reason to take the trade. Now, I wasn't sitting here when that came. Okay, so then that puts us at, you have to take these off. So we're at 50, 60, 70. And then this right here, the sell signal, puts us at 80% reason to take the trade. And then when it came here and broke, right here, broke this low, that gave me 10 more. That break of the high low gives me 10 more % reason to take the trade. All right, so we were 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So it was a 90% trade, taking it right then and there. If I waited for it to pull back to test this high, which it did over here, okay, then that would have been even more reason to take the trade. So I was fine where I got in. That was a good trade. So let me go back and replay. We'll kind of tick through it. We'll just start it there where I got in, close. And see, again, you're looking at the move before. See how we had this big downward sweep here? Everything stayed red for a while after it flipped back. And then we just had that retracement. So it was a perfect setup for this, for platinum today. So we're going to tick over a couple bars. It'll let me here. And I put on 6. So I only shorted 6. I didn't go 10 with this because it wasn't that 100 or 110 or 120% setup. I'm ticking. For some reason, it's not ticking over the other candles. All right. So that was, I think I pulled the trigger on that candle, but it was down here. So kind of the bad thing about doing the replay is that when you're live and you go hit the trigger, you know, the order may move while you're pulling the trigger. And so it gets you put in a different place. So I'm going to tick it over one more just to see, because I know it was down a little bit below that. And for some reason, I'm having to click this thing 3 times before it'll move. All right, so there's the entry price I was in at. And we're doing a short order, so we're selling. The stop loss was here. Now, I did not want to look at the stop loss on this. Okay, platinum's a little different. There's no micros. Okay, so that's $840 on platinum. So trading that is okay, but we're looking to get that back and better, right? There was no way I was going to put my stop loss above this high. Okay, so I realized that even putting my stop there is a little bit riskier because I could get stopped out. So this could have been a full losing trade. But we have nice downward momentum going, right? So we hope that continues. At least a profit target 1 and 2, and we can move our stop. Placement of the stop, I chose that because of these right here. These highs on these candles. You know, the where this one closed, basically where that green wick is, this high here. So I thought, well, I'm just going to go with it right there. So that was my risk on the trade. So a little bit more risk than the other 3 today. And I may be ticking these over faster because for some reason it is making me tick this 3 times just to get one candle to print. Oh, I know. No? Is that why? Replay interval. It shouldn't be on 3 minute. It didn't do this on anything else. All right, so now it's approaching our first take profit level. Now you notice I had a low to break mark there because it came down and then watch it pull back up. So as it's pulling back up, we always mark the lows to break. As we're moving down, we want to mark the lows. Once those lows are broken, then we can consider moving our stop. And ultimately for us, it's the take profit tool. So this profit management tool. So there it moved down and hit. Now, pending orders are the way to go with these. So if you know how much you're going to close, so I was closing out 4, and we cannot do this on replay. I wish they had it, but you can't. You can move your take profit down to a target level, but it closes the entire trade out. And that's not what we're doing. As it moves to hit a partial or hit a level, then we would close out partial and move our stop. So I think it was the next candle. It's making me cycle through the steps of the candle. All right, so that candle right there, and I closed 4. So we need to buy 4. So that locked in 520. So again, the risk was almost 900. We've only locked in 540. So we're still kind of upside down on this one right now. Okay, move the stop to the halfway point. I want to limit my risk on my runners. Okay, I want to lower the potential loss that's out there. So when we close partial, we move our stop to the halfway point. I don't like moving it to break even when it only hits one profit target. I need to see it extend further, okay? Just this little extension right here, this little extension down to the 1-to-1 ratio to the first level on the profit target tool. Just that little extension is not enough to move to break even. Because if I move my stop to break even, which would be right here at the order, I could full well see this thing pulling back, to test these lows right here, right? You guys can see that. You can see it pulling back to test those, that level. And what if it goes and peaks above it a little bit, and then goes? So we need to keep our stop out of the way if we can. So that's why we moved to the halfway point, okay? So that now we only have $150 risk out there. We've locked in 520. We could lose back 150. So we're good on the day already, okay? I have to tick these over kind of fast here to get this to move. So there's our pullback. So if we would have pulled the break even, we might have got a little, if we would have had it a little better in break even, we would have got stopped out there, okay? So now we're waiting for it to get to the next take profit level. It should have done it with this, guys, and I don't know why it's not ticking over. It's just making me tick this 3 times. This is the 4th video I've done, and all of a sudden now it's doing it. So here I closed one more runner, and again, it's kind of hard on the replay because I can't put pending orders. So again, that was a buy limit order. This was a buy limit order here to close 4. So when you place the trade, we know where our targets are going. So when we place the trade, you draw from your stop to your entry with the profit target tool. You come to level 1 and you put, in this case, since you sold, okay, you would put a buy limit. Buy limit for 4 right here. Buy limit for 1 right here. Okay, you can put the buy limits and it will scale out for you. Why would you want to do that? Well, I'll tell you why. Emotions. A lot of people, when you're sitting and trading, because it used to happen to me a lot when I started, it moves down, it extends down, it hits your take profit level, and you don't close. Why don't you close? Well, you want to make money. You want to make lots of money. You've seen people make lots of money. And so your mind's thinking, well, it's already moved this far, surely it's going to keep moving. Well, get surely out of your mind, because there's no guarantee that it's going to keep going down. It could turn and just pull back and reverse. Okay, so a lot of people, you'll sit there and you'll see that profit and you're up, $500 or $600, $200. and you're saying, well, I want more. Of course you do. We all want more. But you have to go off what historic data has told you, and it could turn and retrace and reverse. So let's get the money while we can. Okay, get our daily bread, get the money we need to live on. So what happens is, though, you sit there, you make the rules, and you're supposed to close 4, and you don't. And then here's what happens. I've seen this done. It pulls back here. And you sit there and say, man, I should have just closed it all. I should have closed all of it right there. Because that's as far as it's going to go. Because it's pulled back and now it's here. And you're like, okay, I'll just see where it goes. It pulls back up here. And now you're thinking, should I close them? Or is it going to break that and go on? It might just break it. I'm just going to leave it all on. I'm not closing partial. Then this candle happens and you're freaking out. That green candle happens, and guess what most people do, or some? They will close their trade. This green candle comes and they close it all. And they say, yeah, I wish I would have closed here. They're reacting to what's happening. They're reacting to this price movement, but they're reacting poorly to it. They're making rash decisions as it moves. And you can't do that. I mean, you can, but you're going to be in a lot of losing trades, a lot of barely making, $10, $20. And that's not what we're here for. You can't live on that. And you won't last long in trading. So again, if we know where we're going to close partial, use a pending order. Use a buy limit order for 4 over here, down here. Buy limit order for 1. Because guess what I can do? When I take this trade and I'm sitting through all this, I have time. These are 3-minute candles. All right? I don't know how, I'm not going to count how many's in there. There's a half hour in there easily. Half hour to 45 minutes in there. Okay? So while the candles are ticking away, as soon as I place the trade, then I pull my profit target tool. As soon as that's done, come in and put a sell limit for 4, sell limit for 1. They're set. I don't have to do a thing. I could walk away. Okay? Now, we're not going to, but that forces you to close that profit. Makes you take the profit. I'm not going to be mad for that, for placing the orders and for being forced to close out profit. Okay? So we've ticked down here to this next level. Now we moved our stop when it hit here, 1 to 1, moved the stop to halfway. Now that it's hit here, I closed one more runner. And then we just did that. So we've got the 520. And then the stop here gets moved to break even. Now we're at 570 left in the hole down there. Okay. So I'm going to put the order a little bit back only so you could see the order. I like doing that. And then we'll kind of tick it over and see what happens. So it goes down here and hits, or almost hits that level. So that level was not hit. So I did not move my stop. Okay. And on the rest of the instruments, I chose to leave my stop out at break even when I moved them there and close at 4. Now with platinum, I get a little more. I like to keep it with the 2 levels back because of the way platinum moves and because there's no micros. Okay, so because you look, we were at 570. Right now I'm down to 380. So it quickly dropped down a couple $100 just on this pullback. But it didn't hit that level, so I didn't move my stop because my rules are if it has to hit a level for me to move my stop. And I'll kind of play it over. See, that's even going slow on platinum for some reason. All right, and there's our 4 o'clock tagline. So that's where I closed the other trade. So we have 450 in there, and then the 520, so 970 on platinum today. Now, a couple things I always like to look back is how did I manage my stop? Did I manage my stop well? Could I have managed it any better? And I really don't think I could have, because it came down and hit level 1, moved it to halfway. It hit level 2 or level 3, which is our 2 to 1, moved the stop to break even. And then it did not hit level 4 here, which is our 3 to 1. If it would have hit level 4 right there, and I would have moved my stop, I'd have been stopped out right here if I would have moved it. So, and yeah, would have been stopped out there because we would have moved our stop down to this level. So I was glad I kept my levels the way they were. The usual trade, it moves 1 to 1, close partial, move to halfway. It moves to 2 to 1 level. We're going to close out a runner or 2, move the stop to break even. And then I just said, I'm going to let them go. I don't want to sit and manage them any more than coming back at 4 o'clock. And either I'm stopped out on the other runners or I get to close out and profit at 4 o'clock. So that was a choice I made based on what I had going on today. Okay. So again, get in trades, trade them as a day trader or scalp, whatever you're doing. And then I chose to leave my stops out to give it that room to breathe, hopefully to capture more profit, but none of them really worked out that way. Would have liked to have seen them all drop. Would have loved to have seen platinum drop even further. It just didn't happen. And I'm okay with that because I still made good money on the day. Okay? Let me pull up my actual numbers on there, on the sheet. So 440 on the partial and then 520 on the runners. So 960 was my balance on platinum today, and 970s on the replay. So it's right there in line. It just, that's a matter of the pending orders versus manual close. That's where that difference comes when I do a replay like this based on my numbers. Because if I have a pending order to close there, close 4, it's going to shoot down and close 4. If I'm doing the replay, there's no way for me to mimic that. Unfortunately, that candle, closed there, and that's where I closed it off in replay. It's going to be shy a few dollars on that. So that's the only drawback to doing replay. But when it's said and done, it's normally around the same price. So that's good on the down platinum. Almost made $1,000. And I think that's a very good day on platinum. It worked out well. I made more money on the stops. So if you look at where the stops are, well, let's look at that. If this almost came down to level 6. So let's say it hit level 6 and I chose to move my stop. Or let's just say it was close to level 6 and I chose to move my stop down a level. Well, that would have been here. Okay. So I would have moved my stop there because I would have said, okay, it's close enough to level 6. I'm sorry, level 4. Okay, it's close enough to level 4. I know it hasn't hit it, but it's down there close enough. I'm going to move my stop 1 level. I want to capture profit, right? So we move our stop. Well, then I would have been stopped out here. So I'm going to look over to the left. So that's where I would have been stopped out, right here, okay, on that line. So I'd have been stopped out at that price. So closing out at 4 like I didn't get a lot, but I got probably half that. If you look at, here's what I'm looking at. This line down here where it bottomed out, that was the bottom for the day, right? And you look at this line where my stop would have been moved. Okay, I would have got stopped out here. And if you look at where I would close at 4, closed, it's not quite 50%. It's a little bit shy, maybe 40% of that move. So I lost back 60% of this whole swing here. And I'm okay with that because I think $970 on platinum for the day is a good amount of money. Total on the day, it was 1,207 on the partials and 1,466 on the runners, so a total of 2,673 on 4 instruments. So I think that's a great day. It's not what I wanted to make on the account, but I think for the way things moved, it's good enough. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, this is exactly how you need to pay attention to everything that's being done, not just the counter trend lines, but also look at your highs and lows. And again, we're trading in the direction of the indicator. This should give you confidence to hold. So even through this pullback here, everything's still red down here, especially the 60 and 4 hour. It gives you confidence to hold. We started printing more sell signals. And guys, I could have sold on those. Okay? I could have sold back in. It drops down. We don't have any sell signals in here. We close profit. It comes in here, I sell. That goes in the negative for a little bit. But then it comes down here. Is that not profit I could have captured? Yes. Either one of those sell signals. Now this one, unfortunately, when you sold that, it doesn't even go past this low. So there's always going to be that last signal. And you might that might be the only trade you take for the day. And unfortunately, it's the one that just doesn't go anywhere. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this. And I will see you tomorrow in the market.